Greetings from Snake Mountain Boatworks on Friday, February 14, 2020. This is an update on our 1956 18-foot Chris-Craft Capri. We have, or I should say Anthony has, deconstructed the entire hull. We still have the protective strip down here on the bow, but that will come off in short order. We have inspected the boat, made some discoveries, encountered some really awful issues, and I'd like to share those with you and suggest, at least as a first step, how we propose to address them. This boat went through one of North America's most aggressively marketed, supposedly high-end restoration shops. Sadly, its actions do not match its reputation, and I'll simply not divulge what shop this is. But here is an initial example. This is the bow. Do you notice a rather odd seam across here? This firm literally ripped the front ends of all of the topside planks away from the stem, and then built a new stem and sort of put the boat back together. But you notice that in the process, and I think we made a point of this in an earlier video, it simply raped the forward ends of every one of these planks on both sides. We will strip it. I'm just not sure how we go about taking these ripples and splits and everything. The nose of a Capri is really difficult to work with. This one on this side is really special. I guess it didn't fit, so somebody just took something heavy and whacked it. And there's a big split that goes all the way in. It's incredibly concave all along the stem. It's just filled with all kinds of filler, God knows what. But that's not the worst of it. Somewhere in the process, some genius decided that, oh, this boat needs some work in the framing right under here. Now, how do you go about getting to it? Well, the professional way is to recognize we have two planks here, we have two planks here. These seams are simply routed into the planks. The plank goes from here to here. So if I needed to get to this part of the boat, and I've already got it stripped because these geniuses refinished the boat. Well, sort of. They refinished it after they got their orbital sanders out and turned the surface into a moonscape. Once you've got it out, you pop the bungs, back out the fasteners, lift 4 planks, and you have full access to the framing in this area of the boat. But these wizards took the easy way. They simply took a saw and cut all the way across here and took this out, just this. Didn't even attempt to save the wood, threw it away, and came back with a bunch of stuff that doesn't even begin to match. Now you've got this horrible seam. This seam has begun opening up since the forward ends of what are now floating planks, right, have only a fastener way outboard on each edge. The centers of these planks have become convex. This is an open seam at this point. Water is going to get through here. If there was rot beneath here before, hey guys, guess what happens? Water invades here, works underneath. And all that wonderful wood you put in is rotting anew. So we have no choice after we've stripped her but to do what they should have done the first time. Remove this plank, remove all of this, and remove this. Now that's not as trivial as it might seem, because the Capri is designed with this dado cut into the decking where the windshield sits. So, and this plank runs all the way to here. Now, if we took the same care of this boat that the idiots who did the front did, we would just get out something and saw this thing off right here. Now, that'd be easy. Leave that, let that float, saw this off. That's not going to happen. This entire plank has to come back. We will recut this dado so that it is correct. And then yesterday, in preparation for stripping, Anthony released the hold'ems, and then carefully began removing these staples so that we can fold the upholstery down, tape to the edge, and only work beyond it. The way this was done, we would have to remove all the seating and the top ceiling boards to get to this material and release it. It has been run behind the dashboard, underneath and behind the top ceiling boards, but that's not the worst of it. The worst of it is that in her life, we can see she's been reupholstered many times. And unfortunately, when this wood was exposed, this wood was all stripped. So we're all down to bare wood, and we've done our bleaching and staining and all those good, wonderful things. Why didn't we seal this with some kind of sealer? Even some coats of git rot, if you don't have clear penetrating epoxy sealer, or you're unwilling to invest in the proper treatment of this wood. So you see a little rot there. That's not so bad. Well, okay, let's go to the corner. What do you think? Right? This is just all, this goes down at least 3/8 of an inch. We keep coming back, and we can see as we go, it gets worse and worse and worse. And now we get just forward of the engine bay, and we have an absolute disaster. This rot goes down at least 1/2 to 5/8 of an inch. At least that's what our probes tell us. Here's one of the really special spots. Why didn't these geniuses, when they had this all apart, treat this wood as it's supposed to be treated? Protect it, give it a chance to survive. So what are we going to do? We have to excise all of this. It all has to be opened up, cleaned out, and then filled back so that it will hold staples. Right now, it won't even hold staples. Anthony had staples out here and began pulling the cover back, and everything else all the way to the port side simply released because none of the staples had anything to grab onto. On top of that, somebody went into their kitchen cabinet and got the household stapler to do this, and used just common metal staples rather than stainless steel. These things are all rusted and broken, and they've contributed to the damage below. So we have to carefully excise every bit of rotted wood and fill it back. How we're going to accomplish that, we haven't decided yet. Along here, it would be somewhat less difficult if we simply took a router and ran through there and then cut a sort of a Dutchman into it and put a new strip of wood all the way across. But when we get to this area with these short radius curves, it's going to be quite difficult to do that. Somebody at one time took apart and threw the rod system. You can see there's one, excuse me, there's one terminus right here. There is a second one here. The counterparts in the hatch cover still exist. I just don't understand it. Rather than use the way Chris-Craft designed it, a method that works really well. This is a big, heavy hatch cover, and these two rods, and there are two of them, so that you can pull them out, put them in place, and then you drop a couple of hair clips into holes to keep them from going laterally. Somebody decided to try to use strap hinges. Well, I guess that didn't work. So this plank all the way to the transom must be released and replaced, not only because of that, but because these same genius, quote, restorers, unquote, managed to totally destroy the planking back here. You can see we have a valley. Here I understand how it happened. Somebody cranked the lifting ring down too far, but it boggles the mind to understand how you can break all of this planking around the filler, the gas tank filler tube. Then we noticed, and her owner commented, that he didn't understand why the aft seat back sits so upright to the point of being really uncomfortable. Well, we figured that out, or let's say that Joe and Anthony figured that out. This is one of many engines that's been in this boat. This is a 350 GM that came out of an automobile and was marinized using an OSCO conversion kit. That works. The only problem is this engine's longer than the engine bay. And this pulley right here invades the space where the seat back is supposed to sit. So what somebody has done to accommodate this engine is to move the seat cleats. Let's see if I can get across over there so you can see them. You can barely see the mark at the bottom and the angle at which that cleat originally ran. If you put that back there, this hose and this pulley would protrude about 3 inches, 2 inches into the seat back. That means into the foam, and there you've got that pulley spinning in an environment of foam, how long would it take for that to heat up and catch fire? So we really have no choice. The owner was hoping we could simply remove this extra piece that runs across here, but we can't unless we put a different engine in it, and I don't think there's much chance of that happening. So today we will begin stripping her and huddle with her owner. I mean, she really is a beautiful example of a Capri. We have all of her original hardware. The planking, other than what the magicians from the Midwest did to her, the manner in which they raped her, is really in good shape. We'll know more though once we get her stripped, once we get that engine out. And that engine will come out early next week, maybe even this afternoon, we don't know for sure. And the engine will be sent off to Robert Henkel, Chris-Craft in Marine City, Michigan. And we will attend to what's in front of us to save one of Chris-Craft's most elegant models, the 1956 Capri. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now from Snake Mountain Boatworks.